3.
Good afternoon and welcome to Match of the Day for the usual two matches, different in character but both lively. The first from London, Fulham versus Newcastle.
Coney. Oh, save.
Then from the Midlands, Birmingham against Nottingham Forest.
Swain again. Good effort, it hits the bar.
In addition, we visit Yorkshire to look at Hull City's revival and meet Don Robinson, the man who inspired it. And finally, the Goal of the Month competition will make it a busy and action-packed hour for you to enjoy.
Today's news, a Football League manager is prepared to offer his resignation to solve a crisis, and British clubs get set for a testing week in Europe.
Well, let's get straight into the action and go to Craven Cottage, where Fulham, chasing promotion, take on Newcastle United, who no doubt remember with some embarrassment the 1-4 home defeat inflicted by Fulham on them in October. And there seems no limit to Fulham's ambitions, as Barry Davies reveals.
Promotion is not enough for us. We want the championship and the medals. The comment in today's programme at Craven Cottage from the Fulham manager, Malcolm MacDonald. Currently the gap between Fulham and the leaders Wolves is 5 points. And this afternoon, MacDonald is able to field the same side which played at St James's Park and beat Newcastle by 4-1 back in October. An afternoon when they scored goals of quality, and an afternoon which will be long remembered by little Ray Houghton.
Houghton on the ball. Good effort. What a brilliant goal.
There are three differences in the Newcastle lineup. They're now in 10th place, 14 points behind Fulham, and they haven't won away from home since October as well, October the 2nd, when they scored 5 on Match of the Day at Rotherham, with Kevin Keegan scoring 4 of them. Just time for a late lunch before the kickoff. Fulham looking for their 4th double of the season and their 3rd in consecutive home matches, having taken maximum points off Bolton, Shrewsbury and Middlesbrough. First appeal for the corner isn't given, it's a goal kick. Malcolm MacDonald has a 100% record against Newcastle since he left there to join Arsenal, still as a player of course, in August 1976. Referee this afternoon is Lester Shapter of Torquay. First contest in the air between Brown and Keegan was won by Brown. That one was won by Lewington. Cover from Kenny Walton. Waddle, pretty deep position, appeal for handball, not given. And here's Varady. Oh, stuck a little bit, and Payton still hasn't got back. Varady is offside, is he? No, he's not. No, he's not. They're appealing. And Varady opens the goal scoring. And a really strange goal, because when Payton came in the first place, the ball stuck a little bit, and Payton suddenly found that he had to hurry, didn't get back. There was a player playing Varady onside, and Newcastle had the lead. Certainly there were 1 or 2 appeals, but I think when the Fulham players look at that again, they will realise that Mr. Shapter was 100% accurate. McMartin. Shielded it well from Brown, but Anderson was further forward than the ball arrived. Davis. Houghton. Martin coming to close the area down. And he didn't keep it in. Keep the ball in. Exciting player, Ray Houghton. Every time he gets the ball, the temperature tends to rise amongst the crowd. Kevin Luck back in the side today after missing 7 games. Injury. Not the place perhaps to carry it, particularly on a difficult surface. Driscoll took it well. Coney, but his touch let him down, it took him wide. Wilson, Lewington. Pass that was intended to go inside the fullback for Driscoll to run onto, but it's never on. Brown. Carney. Gale. Anderson. Brady. Malcolm McDonald. Jeff Hopkins. And Davis has won it. Coney is in the middle and marked. And he's got a corner, Davis. He felt he should have had a penalty, and I suspect that his manager will feel that instead of trying to beat his man, he should have passed the ball square to an unmarked Coney. For the corner. Brown and Gale have both come forward, taking positions in the 6-yard area. Gale's the first to move, Brown is behind them. Well picked up by Carr. 20 minutes gone, and somewhat frustrating minutes for Fulham. Newcastle certainly trying to limit the Fulham attack by pushing up to try and play them offside. Free kick has been given in Fulham's favour. Driscoll felt that Fulham had possession, I think made the observation, but the referee wants words. He wants words with the youngest member of the Newcastle side, Neil MacDonald. And the name is going in the book. Gale to take once more. Brown finds a position around the penalty spot. The goalkeeper was there too. Coney. Useful. Houghton. Brown. Every Fulham player other than Payton in the Newcastle half. Wilson, first time cross. Davis! Well, he did well then, did Wilson, to cross it first time. Bender struggling to turn and get back. Davis over the top with the header. Hopkins. Driscoll. Dewington. Houghton. Davis. Yes! Houghton, the provider. Davis, the executor. Davis beating his man in the air. The goalkeeper had come forward and the ball looped over him to give Fulham the equaliser, which has been a long time in coming. And that's Davis's first goal for 8 games. Makes it 1-1 with 32 minutes gone. Keegan. As you like, to Waddle. McDermott through the middle here. And how well dispatched. Well, just when it seemed that Fulham had the match for the taking, a simply worked goal puts them behind again. Keegan starting it, finding Waddle, Waddle's cross, and McDermott with his 4th goal for Newcastle in this second period that he's having there. Here's Wilson, the goalkeeper's off his line. Acrobatics from Carney. Well, not all is as intended, but it's enjoyable to watch. And from Carney again, Newcastle moving forward. It's a bit too much at the back of the box. Houghton, oof. Lewington. Tony. Let him down. And once more Newcastle looking for the break. Martin. Wharton. Berardi, that's a good turn. Maybe didn't need the second, but it fell kindly for him. And fell kindly for Fulham at the end with the shot that went wide. McDonald. Hopkins. Ian McFall with his hands to his face. Number 2 to Arthur Cox at Newcastle. Arthur Cox sitting up in the stand. No one's going to get that. Mr. Schapter looked at his watch. And they're playing the time that he's allowed for the odd conversation. Well, in terms of possession, Fulham should be ending the first half well in control, but in terms of taking chances, it's Newcastle who lead. A goal in 2 minutes by Imre Berardi, and a second in the 37th minute from Terry McDermott, with Fulham scoring through Gordon Davis. Well, Newcastle have taken 7 points out of their last 9, with an awful lot of ground to make up, though, in the promotion chase. Gale trying to give Fulham some needed impetus. Houghton. Maybe gives Anderson a second chance of getting in. He's determined little Scott, this lad. It's nicely done. Gale. Houghton. Flag is down and rightly, but the ball was pushed a bit wide. Now Gale. Should have been picked up by Newcastle, but wasn't. Wilson. Davis was out by Carney. Lock. Houghton once more. Coney. Oh, a save. It was a fine effort, which followed some pretty ordinary control. But his lack of getting hold of the ball, in fact, resulted in the ball being teed up off his foot, enabling quite a sharp volley. And Jeff Clark looking like a man of war. Blood pouring down the left side of his face. I think the cut is on the eyebrow. O'Driscoll, Clark, O'Driscoll, Coney. Corner. Davis right in front of Carr. Out by Martin. Lock. Nicely done. No, it's not. The linesman over the far side, waving with such fury. I thought he was working on at least 3 London terminuses. Clark. I would think that Jeff Clark has lost quite a bit of blood, because it's certainly running down his neck into his shirt. Oh, that runs for Davis. That's a penalty. That's a penalty, no doubt about it. A little unlucky, maybe. But there could be no questioning the verdict. Face of resignation, we caught then, of Arthur Cox, the Newcastle manager. Kevin Locke, who hasn't scored since last April, that was a penalty. And he's got one now to make it 2-2. So Fulham have now, for the second time in the match, given themselves a launching pad to victory. And it seemed as though the match was going to go their way when they were at 1-1. And Newcastle thought otherwise. What now? Here's Ferrari. Long cross would find Waddle. Brown. Martin. Keegan. And McDonald shot, he got underneath it. Coney. Lewington. And kept it down well, but too long. Anderson. McDermott. Martin. Clark. Fulham ball. Houghton. Davis. O'Driscoll, good head by Clark. That's nice from Locke to Houghton. Davis near post. Oh, and it hit the near post and went for a goal kick. But again, the neatness of play down the Fulham left, involving Houghton, who had been fed by Kevin Locke, whose pass he now applauds, and in the end, Davis denied by the post. Brown. Locke. Clark. again. Lewington. McDermott. Luck. Houghton. Gale. And McDonald on the counter. Oh, that's a good ball through to Waddle. McDermott with Houghton rushing back to get goal side of him. Oh, and Payton lost it. So the whistle has gone. The flag is up. A free kick is given. Complaints to the linesman. And Arthur Cox on his feet. And that was an expression one saw often enough when they lost in the cup against Brighton. Just believing that it won't go his way. The whistle had gone before the ball was in the net. Schefter takes one look at the watch. Brown. And the points are shared in a 2-all draw. And each manager will point to a moment when his team might have won. Malcolm MacDonald when Davis hit the post, and Arthur Cox when a goal was disallowed.
And you probably spotted Newcastle's Varady both in an offside position and obviously interfering with play in the Fulham goalmouth. But a draw seemed a pretty fair result, and it was enjoyable to see the enterprise and initiative of both sides under the conditions. Well, we move now to the Midlands for a slightly more rugged but no less interesting contest between Birmingham City and Nottingham Forest. Birmingham's target, survival, Forest's Europe. Your commentator, Alan Parry.
It was a year ago this week when Ron Saunders left Aston Villa to attempt what no manager of Birmingham has achieved for 20 years, to bring a major trophy to St Andrews. It's been a difficult 12 months for Saunders, but he believes he now has a team of some promise. Saunders signed 6 of these players himself, including the completely reshaped attack of Gale, Ferguson and Harford, who all scored when Birmingham beat West Ham 3-0 here 3 weeks ago. They haven't played since because of postponements. David Langan, injured in that game, is replaced at number 2 by the former Coventry player Jim Hagan. Nottingham Forest, who are challenging for a place in Europe, make 2 significant changes. Danny Wilson, signed recently from Chesterfield, replaces the England under-21 international Mark Proctor in midfield. And with both Viv Anderson and Colin Todd fit again following injury, Kenny Swain switches to the unfamiliar role of left-back, and Bryn Gunn is omitted. So it's Birmingham City in the white shorts who kick off, attacking the goal to our right. And Birmingham have the fewest wins and the fewest goals of any side in the First Division. Forest, all in red, currently 4th in the table and under pressure right from the kick-off here with Dillon, but he couldn't finish. Well, that certainly caught Forest by surprise. The quick through ball, Dillon surprisingly in space and unmarked, but the finishing shot wasn't strong enough to earn anything other than a corner. Nottingham Forest, as I was saying, 4th in the table, but with only 1 win in their last 9 games, and that includes cup ties. And having conceded this corner in the opening seconds, Gale will take it. Not a very good one. Bowyer easily clear. All the way back to Stevenson. Tried to knock it over the Forest defence, but Viv Anderson knew what was happening. Referee today is Malcolm Heath of Stoke-on-Trent. Birmingham starting in very positive fashion. Dennis linking on that far side with Gale. And not a bad effort at all by Broadhurst, the skipper, and it earns a corner. Ferguson marked very closely by Willie Young. Dillon it is who drives the kick in low, straight to Wallace. This is Gale. Good ball. Kerbishley. Ferguson, the only other Birmingham player forward, so he had to try himself. And in the end, the effort was a good one. Lovely ball played forward by Gale to Kerbishley. He went on, realised he had to try the shot. Deliberate along the ground, but always going wide. That was Stevenson. And this is Hagen. Ferguson being watched by Anderson, and both of the players fall. And referee Heath, as you can see, is pointing very firmly for a Birmingham free kick. The foul by Viv Anderson. Dennis playing it infield to Dillon, and now Broadhurst. Saw Hagen so well. Good looking ball too. Oh, and it's in! Harford gets the goal, and Birmingham City have surprised Nottingham Forest again. Last season, they won this fixture. The season before, they won it as well. It's history to repeat itself. As the cross came in, the first flick took it away from the marking Forest player, and Harford was able to do the rest. So Harford gets his second goal of the season, and it's Birmingham 1, Nottingham Forest 0, with only 9 minutes gone. Mick Harford, who on his last appearance on BBC cameras did so well in the Atari six-a-side competition. A great start today. Blake's header. Forward by Hodge. Blake again. Difficult bouncing ball there. Dennis beaten through to Birtles. Can he equalise? No. Coton very quickly off his line. The first problem really for Mark Dennis was the bounce on that ball, which deceived him. Wallace prodding it through. Birtles just beaten by the goalkeeper's charge from his line. Ferguson with the layoff, and it comes to Kerbishley. Todd in, Hagen across goal, and how close that was to a second. A lovely ball across the face of the goal by Hagen. Harford went sliding in on the far post and was inches away from a second goal. Oh, Blake made a mistake then, not realising Birtles was behind him. Could it be costly? Well, it very nearly was, as the ball deflected off, I think it was Stevenson who got the final touch. It was as well for Birmingham City that Coton was alive to the danger. All stemmed from Blake's mistake. Birtles quick to cross, and the ball deflected off a Birmingham player, but Coton was in the right place. This is Walsh. Good tackle by Hagen. And Gale takes over. Looking for Harford. Uses the ball so well, Mick Harford. And Broadhurst uses it even better by setting Dennis free on the left. Good looking attack this. Kerbishley. Dillon calling for it, but the return ball is to Dennis. Ferguson with a header. It comes to Dillon, and Anderson blocks it. Wallace relieves the pressure on Nottingham Forest after a very good Birmingham attack. Wallace again. Done well here. He's beaten 3 Birmingham players and finds Birtles. Bowyer. Walsh completely free on the left, and Bowyer wastes a very good opening. Young. Walsh. Beautiful play. And still he goes on. What a fine run this is. And still, Birtles. Wilson is on the far side and gets the header back in. It comes to Walsh. If he could have finished then, it would have been some goal. The deflection took it clear. Colin Walsh with John Robertson out of the side, having had a cartilage operation, revelling in the role he prefers best, the Robertson role, wide on the left. Harford finding Ferguson. This is Dillon. He comes to Harford. He's done well here and finds Kerbishley. Chipped in towards Ferguson, and it was Harford who got the header in first. And he surprised everyone. Well, Harford did well in the build-up to that attack by playing it wide to Kerbishley. When the cross came in, it was perhaps aimed at Ferguson, beyond Harford, but it was Harford who got the header in just wide. Stevenson and Blake a little bit of trouble for a moment. Good throw by Wilson. This is Wallace. Turned it back into the wrong place. Dennis with the interception. And a fine ball forward. What a good run by Dillon. Only Ferguson up with him. But he goes all the way, and the shot well saved on his knees by Steve Sutton. A fine run, deserving applause though by Kevin Dillon. Bowyer. Birtles. This is Wilson. Henderson down the line. Dillon's challenge was a good one. Todd covering, and here's Bowyer. Now Swain. Wallace. Swain again. Good effort, it hits the bar and comes straight to Blake. Well, Kenny Swain is yet to score since joining Nottingham Forest, and that's the closest he's got so far. Got himself into space well, hit a good shot, but against the bar. So, just over a minute of the first half remaining, and Kenny Swain, certainly the closest any Nottingham Forest player has come to a goal. Harford finding Gale. This is Kerbishley. Hagan. Swain's header clear to Walsh. Did well. Wallace. Willie Young. That's a fine ball. Walsh. Oh, it was a brave header by Hodge, and Bertel in the end getting the shot in. But Coton covering the near post. Half-time, Birmingham deserving their lead. They played exceptionally well at times. The crowd have enjoyed this first half. Nottingham Forest, a strangely undisciplined half for them, though they too did have their moments. But Mick Harford in the centre there just going off, scoring the only goal of the half, and Birmingham's lead at half-time, 1-0. So as the second half gets underway, with Nottingham Forest now attacking the goal to our right, Forest have made a half-time substitution. Peter Davenport is on instead of Gary Birtles, who has a gashed shin. And immediately the crowd angrily remonstrating with the referee. They felt that Birmingham should have had a free kick. This is Hodge for Forest. Bowyer back to Walsh. And Gale stood his ground. Goal kick. Young clear and finding Davenport. Walsh. Swain furiously down the left-hand side. Walsh is still with him if he needs help, and he does. Walsh. Good effort. And the goalkeeper did well then. Coton, couldn't have been easy, diving full length. With two Forest players just waiting for the suggestion of a rebound. Came into the side in November when Jim Blythe broke an arm, showing confidence and repaying the faith that manager Ron Saunders has shown in him. Harford, a good header. Young just poked it clear to Swain, who finds Wallace, and now Walsh. Wallace, Blake behind him. The tackle by Kirbishley was a vital one, and Hagan got it clear. Mistake by Willie Young. Gale forward. Harford is onside because he was just in his own half, but the referee decides that offside is the verdict, and the crowd are very angry. So, Forest resume the attack with Davenport. Still buzzing about that decision. You can't, of course, be offside in your own half, and that's where they feel Harford was when the ball was played to him. But that's gone. That's good play by Hagan. And again, Birmingham break. Kirbishley feeding Dennis. Beautiful ball by Broadhurst, or will it just be a little bit too strong? It is indeed. Dennis won it well then. Here's Ferguson and Gale. And Broadhurst now. No sting with the first shot, there was with the second, but Sutton right behind it. Walsh lucky to get that back off Hagan, but finds Davenport well. Now then, a lot of men forward here as the ball is played towards Hodge by Swain, but not played accurately enough. Ooh. Oh, Willie Young overdoing it, but getting away with it. Anderson finding Davenport. On it goes to Wilson, and then on to Hodge. Strong run by Hodge. Oh, good effort. Wallace in quickly for the rebound, and then Davenport. And Davenport gets the equalising goal, but really the man who must take the praise is Steve Hodge. It was a marvellous run by Hodge. He kept going, got in the shot, which was pushed clear by Coton. Wallace tried to knock in the rebound. That shot was blocked, and Davenport, the substitute, making no mistake the second time. Birmingham City won, Nottingham Forest won, and Birmingham really paying the price for their lack of ability to capitalise on their first half performance, perhaps, when they were clearly the better side. Forest have had more of the ball in this second half, though, and that is their first away goal in 4 successive matches away from the City ground. Will it be enough, I wonder, to rescue them a point? Wilson forward. Hagan under pressure from Davenport. And Walsh won it. Davenport again. He almost did it again. What a great save it was by Coton. Well, that could have been the winner. Davenport with Walsh combining on the left to win the ball back. A fine turn and a good effort. Well saved by Coton. Corner. Kirbishley beaten then and The referee has whistled here. No play went on. The free kick had been given to Birmingham. Furbishley. Hagen in what could be one of Birmingham's final attacks. Swings it in, looking for Harford, and it comes to him. He couldn't finish. It was a good tackle in the nick of time as Harford was lining himself up for a shot. And Forrest looking very dangerous here on the break too. Wallace is up. Now, goodness me, Swain did well to retain possession then, as everybody was expecting it to go to Wallace. Here's Walsh. Well, tried to play a sort of golf chip shot then into the top corner, which went all wrong. But Swain, with that determined run, keeping possession, not feeding Wallace as Birmingham expected, but going it alone. Young's header. And that's the final whistle. A goal each, a point each. But I feel that Birmingham City will regard this as 2 points lost, whereas Nottingham Forest will regard it as 1-1. A fine save at the end by Tony Coton to prevent the substitute Davenport giving Nottingham Forest a winner. But Davenport's equaliser, which came late in the game to rule out Mick Harford's first half goal. Credit to Nottingham Forest for coming back strongly in the second half, but Birmingham will rue the fact that their first half performance did not bring them the win they must have expected then.
Well, never mind the booing. In a way, both teams came out of that game with credit. Birmingham for playing so well early on with great determination too, doing everything but kill off Forest, and Brian Clough's team for refusing to be buried under the avalanche and ending the day with a point that, come May, might take them into Europe.
The main news at home today concerns 3rd Division Lincoln City. Following yesterday's 2-1 home defeat by Plymouth, about 400 supporters demonstrated outside the ground, demanding the resignation of Chairman Gilbert Blades and his board of directors. The fans are unhappy that the board have refused to allow manager Colin Murphy to add any new players to a 14-man squad. Just over 6 weeks ago, you may recall watching on Match of the Day, Colin Murphy coming out before Lincoln's home game against Millwall, a game which was won 3-1 and with some style.
And Neil saw that early. Can he keep it under control? Yes, he can, and beautifully done.
That win in December left Lincoln 5 points clear of second club Bristol Rovers with games in hand, obviously a very strong promotion position. But now, following increasing unrest between the players and the board, Lincoln have slipped to 3rd place, 9 points behind current leaders Portsmouth, and without a win in their last 6 games. So who's to blame, the board, the manager, or the players? This is what Chairman Gilbert Blades has said. The blame for this hysteria rests with the manager for orchestrating the players to speak to the press. It is entirely his fault. The directors will consider our position when the time is right. Well, those are very strong and disturbing words, and they drew this response from manager Colin Murphy when I spoke to him a short time ago.
I find it absolutely incredible that I should be held responsible for people's emotions and people's feelings. As far as we're concerned here anyway, in the last 4 years, we've done nothing but win matches. We've produced a really healthy surplus on the transfer market. We've produced a team who are responsible to the task, and they're proud to wear the red and white of Lincoln City. I mean, if that's a crime, I apologise.
So is there a simple solution? What's the next step?
Well, it would appear at the moment that I've been the victim of my own success. And there's got to be something catalytic, there's got to be something compatible, and if we don't have mutual objectives, then maybe the consequences are grave for me.
Are you suggesting you think you'll resign?
Well, if that would help diffuse the situation, if that would help make things easier, then maybe I would have to think about that.
And clearly that's not the end of the matter. Another club reported to be facing a crisis is Chelsea, but following suggestions that many players at Stamford Bridge are unhappy with the way the club is being run, Chairman Ken Bates replied simply and to the point, there is no discontent amongst the players who are giving their all for the club and who have a regular first-team place. 2 FA Cup fifth-round replays tomorrow. Arsenal have Alan Sunderland available for selection, but lacking match fitness for the tie at Highbury against Middlesbrough. Borough won't risk Kevin Beattie, but both Ray Hankin and David Shearer, clear of suspensions, are expected to play. Crystal Palace meet Burnley at Turf Moor, and for Palace, Jim Cannon and Gary Locke, who missed yesterday's 2-0 defeat at Oldham, are also expected to play. European competitions this week as well. Holders Aston Villa, who meet Juventus at Villa Park, have Des Bremner still doubtful and Alan Evans suspended, but Peter Withe will be back after his 2-match ban. Incidentally, this afternoon, Villa manager Tony Barton watched Juventus beat Udinese 4-0 in the Italian league. Liverpool travel to Widzew Łódź in Poland for their European Cup tie, and Bob Paisley told me Alan Hansen, who missed yesterday's 1-1 draw at Manchester United, could possibly be fit, and that he expects Kenny Dalglish, who took a knock in that game, to be okay as well. Scotland's 2 European representatives are Dundee United, who go to Bohemians Prague in the UEFA Cup, and Aberdeen, who travel to Bayern Munich in the Cup Winners' Cup. And there's news that Bayern's Paul Breitner has only a 50-50 chance of playing. He limped off before the end of a German league game yesterday after scoring twice. Aberdeen, meanwhile, prepared quite nicely. They came from behind to beat Dundee and stay on top of the Scottish Premier Division. Your commentator, Archie McPherson.
Ferguson, difficult ball to take down, driven well, Mackey using his pace well. Watch Miller going across, number 6 is a brilliant goal. Touched in, I think, by Stephen. Stephen got the final touch. There goes Kennedy. And I think a free kick may have been given. Yes, the referee points away across. There's a chance and it's a goal. That's the equaliser. Peter Weir. Weir. Cooper hesitates and I think is fouled by Bell. John McMaster. That's a touch. Black with the overhead and he's done it! Brilliant goal! Oh! There's an audition. Simple one by Dougie Bell. 3-1.
Well, time now to take a close look at what has been happening at 4th Division Hull City. Some months ago, they were all but extinct. Years of lack of success and the resultant apathy had brought them to their knees. They've not only survived, but are one of the few clubs presently bringing a touch of welcome optimism to these depressing days. Tony Gubber reports.
Chairman Don Robinson conducts the applause of the biggest 4th Division crowd of the season. 14,252 in a ground that 12 months ago was on the brink of closure. The secret of Hull Tigers' escape from the hands of the official receiver lies in the generosity of a creditor who allowed a £750,000 debt to be wiped off the books by being converted into a 20-year loan and non-voting shares, and by the arrival from Scarborough of the former non-league management team of Colin Appleton and his chairman Don Robinson, who feels the colossal Humber Bridge, half lost on a misty morning, has proved Hull's most gigantic asset.
The Humber Bridge has made a fantastic difference to our catchment area. I reckon we've got a catchment area now on both sides of over 1 million people. It takes 20 minutes to cross over, and we're getting 1,000 from the other side for every home game. And I reckon today we're going to get 3,000 or 4,000 people coming over from that side. It's fantastic.
What lesson do you think there is for other struggling clubs to learn, though, Don, from looking at what Hull have achieved?
Any struggling club, well, really you've got to run the clubs as a business. Football is a business and it must be run as a business. You don't let yourself get heavily into debt. Crikey, if you're going to get heavily into debt, this is where we want to be jumping off the Humber Bridge, because there's no way I would ever want to let Hull City get like that again. In fact, there's no way it will. We've got money in the bank at the moment, and that's the way we intend to keep it. We're going to run it as a business.
Behind the semi-detached suburbia of the club offices at number 101 Boothferry Road, just below the club floodlights, is the shell of the new superstore that raised £350,000 to pay off all the trade creditors. The threatened financial millstone of a cantilever stand on top of the store has now been scrapped in favour of a Hollywood-type bowl where pop groups will be able to stage Humberside concerts. A year ago, the Tigers were bankrupt, owing more than £1 million. But now the commercial acumen of its new management team has thrust the club back into the public eye. This club song is about to be recorded. Fans can show their support by buying the club's own brand of Tiger Cola. The whole team chasing promotion is basically unchanged from a year ago. Only Peter Skipper, a £9,000 buy from Darlington, and Billy Askew, who came free from Middlesbrough, being added to the players who had to take a wage cut to keep the club going.
I think it's about 20% of my wages, which when you're a married man and you've got 2 children, it causes a few problems. But like I say, my wife rallied around me and gave me a lot of support, and we managed it all right. And I think it's paying off, you know, to be back at the top of the league and be successful again. It's a marvellous feeling.
This trainload of supporters arriving at the club's own station meant more than just vocal support for Hull yesterday. A new bonus scheme attached to the day's attendance means the players' wages have now incredibly climbed back to where they were. Every 1,000th fan being welcomed by Don Robinson meant extra money in the players' pay packets. And the local derby against promotion rivals Scunthorpe from just across that Humber Bridge was always going to be a financial success for everyone. With debts effectively erased, there's now money in the till at Hull. Don Robinson made his money in the leisure industry, and his feel for the public has made him popular.
Well, it's been a great revival here. Well, it's great. Terrific. Thanks to Mr. Robinson being out here today. He's doing really well. We're all proud of him.
It's great. It's really good. It's now the top of the league, like, a lot of support's come back from rugby, and originally that's why I went to rugby, because football was dying, really. But now Don's brought it back. Magic, you look around, you know, it's great. It's brilliant. Champions this year, Division 3 next year. Magic.
Yeah. The only thing is we've got to do it every week, haven't we? Or every other week. But I mean, this is what we've looked towards, and the whole public have looked towards this for many years. Very pleased to be able to do it for them.
Hull have been unbeaten at home this season, and their points total of 61 before yesterday was only bettered in the league by Liverpool's 62. And they began against Scunthorpe like real Tigers. Number 7, Brian Marwood, almost adding to his 12 goals, forcing a good save from Joe Neenan. Number 8, B.B. McLaren, set up another Hull attack from which he almost scored, but the final shot just too high. It was the visitors Scunthorpe, though, in blue, who scored first just before half-time. A spectacular long-range shot from Dennis Lehman, deflected in. The replay clearly shows the ball deflected off number 3 Askew, although the keeper Tony Norman did get a finger to it. But this was a day when football's crowd shouted out a warning to the big Humberside rivals Rugby League. Just a few miles up the road, Hull rugby team were playing a cup tie in front of 12,189 fans. That was 2,000 less than football's attendance. In the second half, only a great save by Norman from Baines's header prevented the big number 5 from making it 2-0 to Scunthorpe. Just 6 minutes from time, though, Hull kept their unbeaten home record alive with a late equaliser. Number 10, Les Muttry, did the spade work. Brian Marwood scored, his 13th goal of the season. That 1-1 draw would see Hull knocked off the top of Division 4, but with Scunthorpe still very much promotion candidates. And after the match, the Scunthorpe manager, Alan Clark, and his chairman joined Appleton and Robinson in an ambitious toast.
And then he's wanting drinks, he's wanting wine as well. I'm pleased to meet you. Cheers, cheers, fellas. We'll see you on the Humber Bridge with the champagne when we both go up. Cheers, all right.
Well, it's good to see those smiling faces at Hull. Two conflicting stories, though, from there and Lincoln, although both are enjoying success on the field. And if Don Robinson is right and football has become a business, it'll be the only business in the world where those who take the ultimate moral and financial responsibility are not expected to put their noses into what goes on the shop floor, either individually or collectively. Well, that cannot continue, and until those involved understand that, there'll be confusion and trouble. Well, now it's time for our February Goal of the Month competition. There are 7 goals to choose from, which, as it turns out this month, are mostly scored as a result of fine passing movements rather than explosive finishing. I'll remind you how to enter in a moment, but first a look at the goals, starting with goal A, scored by Graham Souness for Liverpool against Luton.
Souness. And again Souness! What a goal!
Goal B, scored by David Hodgson for Liverpool v Burnley.
Hansen read that, and Liverpool could have an extra man here if they play it right. Dalglish on the ball, and through the middle, unmarked, Hodgson. Can he make it 3? David Hodgson, yes.
Goal C, scored by Garth Crooks for Tottenham Hotspur v Swansea City.
Here's Ricky Villiers, forward for Terry Gibson. Can he take him on for pace? Rajkovic, he can. He's still there, is Gibson. And a good cross, and here's Crooks.
Goal D, scored by Colin Russell for Huddersfield Town against Millwall.
Oh, hasty by Allardyce. It's Lillis. Allardyce has come across. Nice change of direction. Russell! What a beauty!
Goal E, scored by Keith Birchin for Norwich City against Ipswich Town.
Ian, after Barham, a man that Ipswich are a little bit afraid of. Tucks it in for Birchin. Chance here for Norwich. Birchin scores.
Goal F, scored by Eric Black for Aberdeen against Dundee yesterday.
John McMaster. That's a touch. Black with the overhead, and he's done it! Brilliant goal! Oh.
And goal G, scored by Mick Harford for Birmingham City against Nottingham Forest, also yesterday.
Dennis playing it infield to Dillon, and now Broadhurst. Saw Hagan so well. Good looking ball too. Oh, and it's in!
Well, here's a check on those goals. Goal A, Graham Souness. B, David Hodgson. C, Garth Crooks. D, Colin Russell. E, Keith Birchin. F, Eric Black. And G, Mick Harford. And here's how to enter. You put your name and address on the left-hand side of a postcard, please, and your goal selections in 1, 2, 3 order on the right-hand side. And address the postcard to Goal of the Month, BBC Television, London W12 8QT. Goal of the Month, BBC Television, London W12 8QT. And the prize for the first postcard drawn out of the sack that coincides with the choice of our panel is £100 worth of premium bonds. Well, that's it for this week, except to remind you that Sports Night on Wednesday next contains highlights from the European matches in which British clubs are involved, plus boxing from the Royal Albert Hall. Sports Night, as usual, at 9:55. Match of the day begins earlier next Sunday at 3:55, and it's linked with international athletics, the European Indoor Championships from Budapest. See you next Sunday then. Good afternoon.
From now on, you only need to be one place to watch sports. It's Viasat. We bring you 2 new fantastic sports channels.